welcome to another episode of the Monkey Business Show. Johan and Pyrion Flax. What's up, buddies? How you guys doing?
Hello.
Hello.
Doing good. I just finished recording a podcast as well.
Really? Which one?
It's got plenty of topics on my mind. It's one I do. I do the Triforce podcast with a couple of mates of mine, and we do that every week. I've been doing it for like 5 years.
What is that
now.
podcast about?
Nothing.
Nothing. Good. Well, welcome to another
literally
one.
Nothing. Yeah. yeah. It's my kind of podcast. I'm not an expert in anything, so if I can just talk, that's perfect. Yeah.
I'm trying to decipher what's going on in your background.
This is the office, and I just stuck all my comics and games and books and all the rest of it, and my TI stuff, like the jerseys and my passes and stuff my kids have made and
wizard.
Stuff fans have made. Yeah, that's on my microphone.
There you go.
Shit! I was sure it was in the back. Oh, that's weird.
yeah. So it's all stuff like that. Did somebody crochet this? This is from the Triforce podcast. That's me on the podcast. We animate it. So we're like talking triangles, and that's somebody crocheted that for me, which was very nice.
And the big sign of no?
It's a cross stitch. It's cross stitch. Yeah, that's my general answer when I'm streaming. If someone asks a question, I just point to that. Because it's almost always no, you know.
Sometimes no. Is this your like setup at home, or where are you in England? Or I mean, I'm taking a guess.
I'm in London. This used to be the baby room, and now the kids have moved downstairs. So this has been my office for the last few years. It's very small, and I keep all my crap in here, which is why it's a mess. Because the rest of the house is not a mess, so I'm allowed to keep all my stuff in here. That's it.
That's awesome. You have kids? How many kids you have?
2 kids.
That's great. How old are they, if I may ask?
My eldest is 13 and 10.
Oh, dude.
So they're grown up almost.
Oh boy. Yeah. Oh boy. That's
a lot of time already.
Dangerous.
They're behind.
It's tough. I'm gonna have 2 teenage girls in a couple of years' time, so it's rough. It's rough. They're a lot of work, but they're great. They are great. They love games.
Okay.
Sadly, neither of them plays Dota, but they do love games.
I think that's good parenting. You know, when you're a dad and you know neither of your kids play Dota, you know you've done something right.
Yeah. They're like, Dad, we want to play Dota. I'm like, no, you don't.
So what kind of games did they get into as kids?
Minecraft.
Curious, because I play.
Minecraft.
Okay.
Like that's the big one. I was saying to a friend of mine. I know that obviously we're kind of biased that we think Dota's probably the best game we've ever played, but I think in terms of its reach and appeal, I genuinely think it's hard to look past Minecraft as being probably the greatest game ever made. If you think how many people have played it, grown up with it, got into gaming because of it, runs on any platform, I just think it's an amazing achievement. And young kids now still play Minecraft. It looks the same, it plays the same, has done since it came out. It's pretty impressive.
Dude, I actually never played Minecraft.
Maybe Minecraft is...
What year is it from?
No, me neither. Yeah, what year was it? Did it come out?
God, early 2000s, I want to say. I'll look it up. Minecraft.
Really? Because it skipped all my... I never heard of it till I was some 16 maybe or something.
Really?
I think so.
I didn't hear about it until a few years ago. That's how...
You're kidding me.
No, dude, I promise.
No. That's nobody in my circles growing up. What about you, Ted? What did you grow up with?
I mean, jeez, dude.
After we find out this Minecraft mystery, I'm really curious now. I need to know as well.
So Minecraft came out in... it says 2011.
11?
Yeah.
It's 2011. Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, honestly,
2009.
For the last...
It says release date for me.
Maybe that was the original version.
Okay.
I mean,
I see.
So many kids grew up playing that game. People that I know are now adults, and also people who are now kids all played Minecraft when they were younger. When I was a kid, I had a computer called the Atari 2600 VCS. If you look that up, it had wooden paneling on it. It was garbage. And the graphics, I think the resolution was like 20 by 20 or something ridiculous like that. Like, it was bad.
Just a pixel.
Yeah, It was like really bad. And then I got a Commodore 64, which was the start of the golden age of home computing. And I played a lot of games on that. And then...
that was just pure video game PC, right?
No, it was for programming. My dad got it for me. I wanted an Amiga, Commodore Amiga. Any Amiga fans out there, that was probably the best home computer I ever saw before the PC became a big thing. And it was like amazing for games, amazing for graphics and sound. It was all big clunky discs, all the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
you know, I had a Super Nintendo. That was great. I loved my Super Nintendo. I had a Game Boy. That was amazing. Everybody loved the Game Boy. So yeah, I was like classic
Dude,
era
I didn't know
retro
how old you were.
gaming was what I grew up in.
How
Yeah.
old are you?
Sorry, you wouldn't have invited me on the podcast. I'm 46,
46,
so
Jesus.
I'm fucking old. Yeah,
I feel old with all these people.
I've been around in. I know. I've been around in gaming since like the 70s. Dude, that was when I started playing video
I have so many
games.
questions. So how are dinosaurs? You met them?
Nice.
Very funny. Yeah, because I'm old and dinosaurs are old. No, I get it. Yeah, that's good.
Oh fuck, dude! You're literally the oldest person we have
That's
in this
cool.
podcast,
That's cool.
by a huge margin.
Yeah, well, that's pretty typical. There aren't many old people involved in esports.
So, what is your story? How do you end up in Dota, dude?
So I played. I've always played games.
Okay.
But I got into World of Warcraft back in the day.
That's my
And
job.
I played that. Yeah, I loved it when I played it at release when it came out. Like I played it for like 5 years, like everybody else. And then Burning Crusade came out, and I was like, "This sucks." And I stopped playing when Burning Crusade came out because it's the same story for me. Is I worked so hard in Vanilla WoW, and then you went through the portal into the new bit, and I killed a boar, and it dropped a chest piece that was better than the one I'd been grinding in Molten Core for. And I was like, "What am I doing with my life? They're just going to keep adding more levels, and it's just going to be the same thing. So what's the point?" So I stopped.
I did play.
And then I played.
I
Sorry,
killed Setun. I killed Setun. I did Ankirak, and then that's when I finished. That's when I stopped. After I killed Setun.
It's just a time sink. I mean, you know, I don't know why I thought it had to be something more than that. Every game is essentially a time sink unless you can be a professional player. But it's like just a way to burn time and have fun, hopefully with some friends. So really, WoW has done a great job of that, I think.
I love WoW. Vanilla WoW was
got a lot of pleasure out of it. Right?
So special.
Yeah, but then I wanted something hardcore.
Okay.
So I went and played EVE Online for like 3 or 4 years.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
How was that?
Shit.
I only heard of people play that, but I never really got the gist of it.
So you know the way that we were saying you shouldn't encourage people to play Dota.
Yeah.
With EVE, it's the same thing. Do not play.
Compare it to a game. Like, what's it very similar to?
Have you ever used Excel spreadsheets?
Yes,
like that.
I play X Wars. Remember X Wars? Did you ever play that?
Yeah.
Holy
no,
shit.
I didn't.
So I had like a whole Excel.
It's like that. It's incredibly complicated. And this is when I used to play it in the sort of mid 2000s, late 2000s. It was extremely hardcore. It's a space game. You have your ship, you get on it, you pilot your ship around, you fight other ships. But most of the time you're doing nothing. You're struggling to get into a fight. If it's a big fight, it's really, the frame rate was terrible. We played it for hours. I would play it for like 10 hours at a time. I don't know how I did it, but I thought, wow, this is the best game ever. And then I quit because everybody burns out on EVE at some point. And my mates, some of the guys I'd played EVE with were like, you should try this game Dota 2. It's just come out. I was like, they were like, I can get you a beta key. And I was like, I don't know, because I played League. I played like 2 games of League and it wasn't for me. I was like, this sucks. So I was like, I kept putting them off. I was like, I don't want to play another MOBA. And they were like, no, play it. I played it. In my first game, I played Shadow Shaman. I went 1-30 and I was hooked. I was like, oh my God, this is so good. Like, even though I just got absolutely stomped, I could not get enough of it.
That's funny. My first Dota game was also Dota 2 game, was also Shadow Shaman. I also had like an experience like this.
I just got walloped. And I was like, you know what? I really enjoyed that. That was good, man. So I wanted to know more, and I could see there was so much to it. And even on the, you know, when you're on the hero selection screen, even back then, there were a lot of heroes. I was like, wow, what do they all do? I haven't played this guy, I haven't played that guy, because I never played Dota 1. So I had no idea. I was going in blind. And back in those days, if you were playing Dota in the beta and you were new, people would be like, report this guy, get him out of the beta, he's ruining the game. Oh, he shouldn't be in here, take his key away. Like that would what they were reporting you for. Not for griefing, but for ruining the beta of Dota 2.
And
like
now,
the game is going to fall apart if we let this idiot in. Get him out. That was the way it used to be.
Well, it's okay, Pyrion, because we clearly move fast this, you know. Now Dota is a healthy place. Nothing of that remains.
Nobody flames anybody in Dota anymore. Yeah, luckily, we brought in all these new people, and they're all really lovely, and good effort. That's generally good. Well tried. We'll get them next time. That's the sort of thing people say, right? But yeah, so then I was hooked, and then I started playing it like every day. I was playing on a laptop on my sofa with my mouse resting on a book next to me because I didn't have a desktop PC, and it was like really hard to play. But then when I moved to desktop, I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I got a bigger monitor. I was like, oh, I can actually see what's happening. This is crazy. And then I started making guides, those stupid guides, the MS Paint videos that I used to make, where I'd approach it as a new player and just make fun of the game because I loved it, but it is very funny. Like, no one was really doing funny content about Dota. They were all taking it very seriously. How to lane as this hero or how to play this hero. And I just thought, this game is hilarious. Everybody's so angry all the time. How can you not have fun with that? So I just did that for like a couple of years. And then I think it sort of blew up pretty quickly. And I sort of started getting invited to things. And Valve got in touch when I did the announcer pack. And then I started streaming and going. I've been to every TI since TI3. So it's been a whole career for me out of nothing. It was just pure luck. Absolute luck. Right time, right place at the start of the game's upward trend. And yeah, it was just very fortunate.
Dude, that's awesome. It's awesome. Like, what did you study? Anything in university or anything?
I studied computing. Yeah,
Okay.
I worked as I was a programmer for 5 years, and then I hated it, so I quit. And then I worked in TV for a little while.
In front the camera or behind the camera?
Behind. I worked on a psychic TV show.
No way.
Yeah.
No way. Yeah. Wait. Go on. Please tell me more.
So it was a show called Psychic Private Eyes. And they were meant to be detectives who would solve cold cases using their psychic abilities. This is not a drama. These guys thought it was real. Like, these people claimed to be psychics.
Wait. No. You actually filmed one of these shows where it was people. Okay. So did you? Yeah. Please tell me about it. Like, please tell me about these people and if you actually believe that anything happened.
So there were three main psychics. All right. Colin, Tony, and was it Sharon? I think it was like three of the most basic British names you could imagine. They were all like, "Yes, we've got psychic abilities. I'm getting."
So not paid actors. These people were for real.
They believed it, but they knew. Okay. I mean, they're basically. This is my problem with psychics.
I mean, they know themselves. They know themselves.
They know it's bullshit.
Correct, yeah.
Right? They know it's bullshit. Of course they do. But they use a technique called cold reading, where you could sit down with someone you'd never met before, ask some very simple questions, and just by taking note of the way they react, the things they're wearing, what their name is, where they say they're from, and some research that you've done off camera, you can pretend to call this information out. Oh, the spirits are telling me that your father was killed on the Titanic. Oh my God, yes, that's true. Like, it's stuff like that. So these people would write in and say, oh, I'm having this, tell me something about the spirit world. We lost my great-grandfather. He died on the Titanic. Can you tell us about it? And it's crazy. And you film it. I know. You film it with a camera, like two, three cameras. You go into this person's living room, and the psychic sits there, and the person sits there, and they chat for like 2 hours while the psychic is trying to cold read this person and get the information out of them, make it look natural. It takes like 2 hours. And then you cut that down to 1 minute. And it looks like this guy's an amazing psychic genius who just sits down and goes, your great-grandfather died in the Titanic, didn't he? And they go, oh my God, it's like, it's like that.
I actually read a lot about this, and it's fascinating because obviously there's a few, let's say, elements, like if I make guesses of people.
Yeah.
Oh, there's somebody in your life that passed and you were very close to him. No shit. Every single one of us has that thing,
Exactly.
And there's a big change that just happened in your life. No shit. Every single one. And they start saying those things, and as you react, that's how they hooked you. They just need like an entry, a
100%.
big change, and it's a big change, and I can see how it's like, oh my God, it's going to change everything for you. And I mean, if you close your eyes, I can see it, and like how it opens up to another new life. And it's like, yeah, and you've been scared about the change. No shit, everyone, and it's so good and it's so accurate. And they actually have like books, because these cold reading techniques are also used in business and for other things, to establish conversation, to create synergies.
It's like a common ground. You almost establish a common ground by saying something, like you said, that everybody's going to say, yes. I'm getting the impression that, especially if someone's like my age, or like in their 40s, in their 50s, they probably lost a close relative, because your relatives are getting older. Your old relatives are seriously getting older. It's a decent chance that you've lost someone. So you can say, I'm feeling like you've lost someone. I'm hearing a woman's voice, and they'll be like, and you'll be like, and they're directing me towards a man. And you're like, yeah. It's like, so they get away with it. Like, they'll just suddenly change. No, No, the woman is not right. No, it's a man's voice. So it's like you've flipped a coin in your mind. It's either going to be their dad or their mum that's passed. That's how these psychics work. And they'll take a gamble. And if they get it right first time, they look like geniuses. And if they get it wrong, they just pretend that one spirit was telling them something else. No, you're the wrong spirit. We need this spirit.
It's hard to navigate
right.
the
and people fall for this shit, dude. Yeah, you get lost in the spirit realm.
I had an idea for a show, like if you did like the ghost hunters, right. and you put them together with like the psychic detectives, and you eventually had to have one of them called bullshit on the other guy. Like I wanted to get there, I want them to kind of do that thing, and it would be like so ironic. It would be no, but
it's just unbelievable.
That sounds funny, man. Yeah. I can't believe you.
I did that for a year. Yeah,
1 year, dude. So that's where you learn how to do all these things. All the
that's how I'm That's how I learned to read the mind. But I did poker as well. I did poker television for a good few years. Because I play a lot of poker, but like before I played Dota, I used to play a lot of poker. And that's quite controversial on Twitch at the moment. They're having all this stuff about gambling and all the rest of it. But I don't know. I kind of feel like poker's more of a game of skill than just pure gambling. Obviously, it's got gambling into it. But there's a lot of skill in poker. There are people that make their living out of playing it, top players consistently. But it is still, obviously there is an element.
I don't think that
to
Twitch was trying to target poker specifically. They were trying to
but I was hoping they would.
Machines.
I was like, please don't target poker, because once it starts on one thing, it could easily be another as well. You know what I mean? That's my concern. I think poker still has enough of a skill gap to call it a game of skill that involves gambling rather than pure gambling, like you said, we just pull a lever or spin a wheel and where's the skill?
I think it's just for me, like, I don't know if you saw Johan, but there is these guys that were like streaming literally like slot machines at this point. And
no, I've seen it. I feel like it's such a weird, I mean, I agree. I don't think these things should be on a streaming platform for kids. Fucking, I mean, it's obvious, right? Like you have mostly minors and a huge amount of Minecraft players and kids who are coming from a completely different place.
Yeah.
And then what they're met with on Twitch is, I don't know, I feel like it often carries this persona with like the soft purple colors and like the friendly emojis of like, welcome, we're welcome to kids as well. And then you click, certain categories and all of a sudden you were in a very strange place. I can't believe that, it's been going on for so long, and I find it very strange. I also think we are in a world where competition is kind of the way to also push things forward. I also feel like nobody has grabbed the ball yet and given a nice alternative. I don't know. I do feel like it's they do need to get a handle on a lot of things. I don't agree with the slot machines. I don't agree with like the way that things get presented. And I definitely don't agree with how much it's catered, like Twitch has been catered to kids with Fortnite and all these other things being part of it too. It has to be separate, different websites, different entries altogether.
But no, look, I'm having dinner tomorrow with Kevin from Twitch. I think he's the founder of Twitch. So yeah, for me, Johan, you're completely right. We have to create different entries into this platform, because one main door called twitch.com is just not enough to the adult content that we have and the gambling content that we have, and then the super kid-friendly content that we have. It's just really one click away, and you can end up in the wrong door by mistake at this point,
Oh, yeah. And I don't even know, like, if... you like you said, you just need different entry points for sure, at the very least.
So how would you... Let's say that the Twitch had this where they had, like, Twitch After Dark or whatever you want to call it, which is like more adult themed. How do you police that? How do you make sure that the people going in there mean to be there?
Okay.
Don't call it Twitch. Call it something completely different. Run it like separately. Now we get to the point. I remember when there was a big fuss about OnlyFans shutting off its content, like shutting off the adult content, because it was never intended for this. I think. I think the start of the company was actually meant for something else, and it took off. They said, "Oh, okay, no more." Maybe something people didn't like, investors or what do I know, had a problem with things. Obviously, they backed out of it. But I feel like they could have just left OnlyFans as the adult whatever content website name that everybody knew it for, and just relaunch whatever side project or initial project that they wanted, which is a different name, like, and make it like so it's never gonna go that route ever.
So
and you can have two different platforms. I think maybe there's demand enough for both. I don't know.
They have this problem with Patreon. I didn't know that OnlyFans was like that. I know Patreon was not supposed to be for people showing explicit nudity. And then it became about that. I didn't know that OnlyFans had the same problem.
I think OnlyFans was meant for like people who had a following or famous people, and people could approach them and pay for it, like make a video,
like
or
Cameo,
like
almost, right? But
I guess so.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what I read, but I'm not sure.
I understand.
Maybe I might be wrong.
Like for example, OG, we have a hard time directly monetizing our fan base, you know. So if you have an OnlyFans and we can directly make content for them and directly make exclusive things and exclusive rewards.
This is a change of pace for OG. If you guys are going to start doing an OnlyFans,
I'm gonna do an Only Juans, and it's just gonna be me.
Only Juans, yeah.
Only Juans. My content, unfortunately, my body doesn't look very good. So
I'm a Juan too. I can get in there.
You're Juan. Only Juans.
Only Juans.
Only Juans, yeah.
Business idea. I'll develop it right now for new business.
Get on it. Get on it. Yeah.
I have to say, so I'm right now in Thailand. I got here a few days ago. When I later joined the boys. Yeah, I'm in Thailand right now.
Oh shit!
Yeah, I have a few friends that were moving here, and I rented a service apartment, which is like an apartment that it's like a hotel, and I'm gonna be here for a month. And I think it's the first holiday that I have since I was 21. This is the first holidays outside of my house since I'm 21, and
what
I'm 37.
Have you been doing?
Working my ass off.
Yeah, but you can take a break, dude. Come on.
No. I mean, I take 1 or 2 days off, but it's always like local, or if I'm going, let's say, to see my parents, you know. But I'm working and then I take 2 days. This is the first time that I get on a plane and I go to a place where I'm on holidays.
If you don't mind me asking, are you single?
But you're here, bro. What are you talking about? That was a failed attempt.
Are you single or are you married?
I'm single.
Okay, so I think if you are in a relationship, it's much easier to take holidays. You know what I mean? Because then you're going with your partner or your spouse or whatever. But if you're a single guy, I mean, dude, I don't think I'd take holidays if I was single.
Pyrion, I live with 4 girls in my life. I had like 3 years, 4 years, and 3 years.
And you never took a holiday with them. Yeah. That's the problem, dude. You got to take a holiday. Come on. Women love that.
I know. It's not been that easy. And look,
sorry, baby, I got to work again.
Even now, like I've been on holidays for 4 days. Today is a full day work. And tomorrow, now I'm back. But the whole point that I was trying to make is that actually for the first time, I had a little bit of time to think about some like those existential topics that maybe I never thought about it. And I came with a few maybe not very optimistic conclusions. Okay. So these are my conclusions. Number 1, social media sucks.
Yeah, I'm on board with that.
I think that it's really changing and reprogramming how we think about the world, how we think about ourselves, and how we think about interactions that we have with people. And for the first time in years, I've not been in social media. I've not been on my phone. And I have seen, it's like a desolated land in my mind. And suddenly a flower is starting to bloom because I was not there, because it's been desolated for so many years. And I got so used to it that, I don't know, the first thing. Second thing, I need to explore more of the world because I lived in Europe, I live in LA, and I feel that my brain has already gone to autopilot. And here things smell different, feel different, taste different, look different, and I feel my eyes and my mind constantly stimulated. Oh, look at this. Look at this fruit. Like, what is this, you know? And it's been like in a way, I feel younger during the last week that I felt in other places because I'm not in autopilot. And the big discovery has been also like, I feel that the world is really programming all of us to be the same. We're all good little bots, good little NPCs. And I feel the programming when I'm in Europe, you know, especially. I feel it. They programmed us in school to be this good little citizen. They program us in university to be these good little citizens. And then I come to another culture like Thailand, which they have a completely different programming than us. And it's awesome because it's like so interesting how they see family, how they see school, how like in many ways they're actually happier that we are in Europe. They learned how to be happy. In Europe, all the time I was told you have to study, or if you don't study, you know, you're not going to be successful, you're not going to have a job, and you're not going to survive. It was like, in a way, a very punishing system, you know? Punishing. Everybody's happy here, and they have less money than all of us. So I don't know. That's my 2 cents.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's a different topic.
Yeah,
what is life?
sorry,
What
just
should we spend our time doing? Oh no, no, it's good. It's we'd probably just be able to talk about this for forever. I mean, I think you're right though. I think most part of the Western world has gotten the routine of I don't know where it comes from. You know, like there's the Christian way of thinking. There's like religion also that plays a big part. I think in how people are supposed to believe in the same things, be the same way, like you say, indoctrination, and you go to school to become this, that, or the other. There's usually not a branch in between or a new whatever. Paths are carved out for you, and you're told to walk them. You know, and I mean, not every country and not everywhere, I think it's as fixed as that. There's like, of course, people are different still, even though you put people in the same box, I don't think they come out the same still, but you don't get as much variation as you probably could, or like the potential out of each individual as much as you maybe could.
I mean, we have three generations.
School was a strange place for me too.
We have three generations here. So, Pyrion, you have like you're 47? 49, sorry?
46. Keep going up. That's fine. If you just want to keep
adding. 46. Just 46. I'm 37. And Johan is 28? 29?
Yeah.
I'm 28. 28. Next month, I'll be 29.
Sorry, Pyrion.
No. So, let me think. I think you're onto something in that we do all tend to sort of in the West. I mean, I obviously can't speak for everyone, but it does seem like a lot of people are told in school, you know, you have to do this and you have to do that. And certainly when I was younger, that was definitely the case. The idea, I think, was a good one, which is we don't want you to leave education being unhireable. We want to give you the best chance that we can. That was certainly what my parents' idea was anyway. And my dad was a big influence on me in terms of going into programming, because he wanted me to have a job that paid the bills, and he didn't want me to be to grow up poor. Unfortunately, we did, because my parents got divorced when I was 8, and me and my mum and my sister moved to the UK from the States, and it was sort of, I was born in the UK, but we moved to New York. I lived there till I was about 8 years old. Then we moved back to the UK, and we were poor. We were broke by sort of British standards, I'd say. And the idea that my dad had was that in order to help me not be poor anymore, I should get a vocational job, an education, I should say, that will give me a chance of getting a job. If you just say to kids, go be whatever you want to be, that's a very positive message. But how many of them are then going to get a job at the end of it? That's the parents' fear, is you don't want your kids to be like, Mom, Dad, I have no money, I can never leave home, which is another problem that you have when you're an adult. With kids, you think, shit, they better get jobs because I wouldn't mind if they moved out at some point. You know, that's one thing. So you kind of set your kids up to have the best chance of having a decent life. And that comes with money. In the West, things are expensive. You live in the UK, you live in America, you live in a lot of places in Europe. It's expensive to buy a house, to live, and all the rest of it. So if you just say to people, follow your dreams, then what if all of their dreams are not going to make any money? And a lot of people have no skills and no chance of getting a job. So I think it's easy to say that the people in Thailand or whatever are much happier because they don't have as much money and they don't have this programming and all the rest of it. But essentially, that's the society that we've built. And if your parents and your teachers are trying to prepare you for it, you can't really blame them, I think.
But now you're striving for survival, more or less, right? With that mindset?
Yeah,
that's
what
it's all about.
Getting enough money to pay the bills.
Content or happiness. It's more or less just survival.
Yeah.
Like, if not, you're just fucked. Like if you don't get there.
Yeah.
I don't think that's how the world looks like. That's again me. And now we get back into like philosophy, I guess. Like when you look at money, when you look at jobs, take all those things aside. If you have food, housing, people around, and I mean that as like a group and a generally like a functioning group.
Right.
And that comes with, enough houses and enough food, I guess. When you start having that as just a baseline, I think you will find your place. If anything, you might just have to regress into, building houses, having food, or taking care of things day to day. And then you go back into branching out. I think that is a nicer world than having all the things that we have. And then you need to fucking become this so that we can keep it going, or else, you're going to be left behind. I think it's very backwards. It's like, why are we here then? You know, is it so that we can all be running this crazy machine,
right?
So that you need to become this or that, so that I can keep having this or that? So, because now you're taking this above striving for happiness, living your dream, chasing your dreams, you know? And I'm okay with living in a world where dreams can be very hard to achieve. Like I dream of flying. Well, in today's world, it's not so hard, you know, but back in the day, maybe it was harder. And yeah, it's technological advancements and all those things. But what I'm saying is I wouldn't want this at the cost of having generations, you know, feeling like they need to, the world is scary and they need to become something or do something that they don't want. I don't think that's worth it, you know. Then let's just take it slow, regress a bit, and we'll figure it out that way, you know. I don't know.
But I mean, I'm just saying,
this.
like, I don't think that your parents and your teachers are the ones who are going to be able to affect that change. Really, that's a societal change. That's like changing the whole system of the economy, having to get a job to pay the bills. I mean, now with the cost of living crisis that we're having here in the UK, energy bills are insane. How are people meant to pay for it? By, you know, following their dreams?
Maybe we just failed, you know. For me, I would look at it as failure in enabling the next generation. If and same for me, like I was not able to get there enough that I could just take care of myself. I'm just thinking our ancestors must have taken care of themselves too, made societies, smaller societies. I don't know. I feel like there has to be a way, and if I'm not smart enough to see it, I have to try and make the next one smart enough to see it. You know, a way to get back into a good system, or make the system better, make life better, make this planet better, better place for us to all be, and to digest things, I guess, because that's also what I feel like we don't really get to digest what's happening, because yeah, we're just thrown one day into the next, and it's again like the path has been carved so often that we don't let young people carve out the path themselves. And I also feel that's a fallacy, because we're supposed, like, if you don't believe in your kid, that means you failed. That means you shouldn't believe in yourself in a way, you know. And if you truly believe in yourself, you should believe in your kid more than yourself, because you know where you got here through help, right? Like, at least I think everybody who's smart believes that they became smart also because of people and things around them, you know. It's not just they were born this way, it's experience and it's,
of course, yeah,
things. So yeah, again, like I think it's about believing in the next generation, enabling it, giving it power, like truly also making it like a nicer place for them, give them everything. That's the mindset I hoped also growing up with, you know. I hope the world was going to be like this, and it is for the most part. I think that, you know, and again, now we get into deeper things. Is human good? Is it all love? Blah blah blah. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's very rushed. I think the Western world has gotten very used to
and by the way,
running around.
I want to be clear. I don't say that people in Thailand don't have programming. It's just the programming is different than mine. Therefore, I don't feel the push of my programming that is daily, because I feel it every day when I'm in Europe, when I'm in NA. I feel it pressuring you all the time. And
but so here's the thing. When I started doing programming and I was pushed into that, this was I didn't really get to my point. I hated it. And I broke away from it and ended up doing something that I love doing. But I was very lucky to be able to do that, because my wife has a good career. And essentially, her career was able to pay for me while I was looking after the kids. I was a stay-at-home dad for 3 years, making no money, and was able to do that because she has a good job. But most people aren't going to be that lucky. And I think encouraging people to follow their dreams is absolutely a positive thing. And I would never, if my kids said, I wanted to do this, I would say, I will help you in any way I can. That's what most parents would say, I think. But they also need to have money to live, because of the society that we have built doesn't give you handouts very easily. And if you can't pay your own way and make your own way, I just think a lot of dreams die in that way, because people just give up.
I think, but this is going to get
it's more important that we create a framework, like Johan says, where you can follow your dreams, and if they work out, then that's great. And if they don't, maybe you could get a job at the supermarket.
But I think this is when it gets really philosophical, because if we created a society that this is the only alternative, I think we failed. Again, maybe.
Well, then we failed.
I think we failed.
We failed, and we should pack it all up and just get rid of social media, get rid of the internet, get rid of not computer games. I want to keep computer games, and we'll need the internet because I play a lot of games online. What else can we keep? That'll do.
Obviously, we established a few times already during the podcast.
I'm old, yes.
You're old.
Is that what you were going to say? Yeah,
I was going to say you have a different kind of experience background, and let's say 20 years on me, which means 20 years on Johan. Dude, how do you see this? Because you are in a way core part of this new world order, of games, but you have a very different life experience.
I'm not a core part of it at all.
No, you think so?
No, I'm like a tiny speck in it.
Okay.
I'm just very fortunate to be involved. That's how I see it. I think of myself as being very lucky that I've had the opportunities I've had, that out of nothing I had a career, and hopefully still do have one after this podcast.
Can't promise
you. This could be the last thing. Where I sort of, I'm going to events, and I've made a whole ridiculous slew of friends that I never would have met otherwise. And whenever I go to an event, and Johan will know what I mean, you go there and you see people that you only see at events.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's great to see them, and you give a big hug, and you hang out, and you get some food, and you go for some drinks, and you watch the games or whatever, or you work together, and you communicate online. That's one of the things that I think social media is a very positive force for, is staying in touch with people. Which is, when I was younger, if you didn't have someone's phone number, you had to write them a letter. Now you can just DM someone, right? Which is great. You can chat to people, and you could just, hey, you got time for a quick chat on Discord? Yeah, no problem. You're chatting away. You can do Zoom calls and everything. I think there's been a lot of positive stuff that's come out of the internet, and to focus on the negative is really bad. I feel a lot more connected to my friends. I've organized a community around gaming on my Discord server, and without social media and all the rest of it, that wouldn't have happened. Without it, I probably wouldn't have had a career. I think a lot of storylines out there are very positive. So for me, going from being a stay-at-home dad, watching Star Trek and Frasier and Seinfeld on TV, playing Football Manager on my laptop, and minding the kids, to suddenly traveling all over the world to events and having people ask for my autograph and my picture and stuff like that, it was bizarre, absolutely bizarre. So the change from how gaming was viewed when I was a kid to now, I've been there for the whole thing. And I never thought I'd be working in it. It was a dream to work in gaming in any way. I'd still love to make a game. That's my ultimate goal, is I have ideas for games I'd love to make something and see if people like it, see if I have an understanding of what makes a game good. I know what I enjoy, but there's a big difference. You know what movies you like, but you couldn't sit down and write a movie. So
it's a bad example, because I made movies for a living.
Okay, I wasn't saying you. I was saying most people, just because I enjoyed the Avengers doesn't mean I'm going to make an Avengers movie too. It doesn't really work that way. So designing a game is very different from playing them. I'd like that challenge. I want to see what that's like, to have to design it, anticipate what the players are going to do, try and get the feedback and make it fun and all the rest of it. It wouldn't be any big thing, but I think it would be fun to do. But anyway, when I first started off, gaming was seen as a complete waste of time by all adults. It was a complete waste of time. There's no upside to playing games all the time. If you guys remember, there's a very famous Gary Larson cartoon. Gary Larson was a cartoonist back in the 80s and 90s, and he had one with these two parents, sort of, with their hand over each other, looking at their son playing Nintendo games, and they're imagining the job section of the newspaper, and it's all adverts asking for people who are really good at Nintendo, right? And the joke is that they're dreaming about their son playing games for a living. People use this cartoon a lot. You can find it really easily online.
Just Gary Larson and then video games?
Yeah, to have a look for it. And it's the kid is...
Oh, I found it.
There you go. So it's a famous example of how opinions change. And this was just seen as, oh, ha, ha, ha. Yeah, Gary Larson is spot on with this one. Whereas now, 20 years later, it looks hopelessly out of touch. I mean, in the call with a man who made millions of dollars playing a video game very well and being a household name in gaming because of it. One of the most famous stories, I know, I'm not going to keep going on about, one of the most famous stories in gaming, but if you went back to the 1980s, when I was growing up playing games, if you pitched this as a movie or a book, people would think it was science fiction. There's no way. And now it's so commonplace.
I'm gonna stay in the same track, but maybe change lane. I remember when I went to school, and it was history class, and we were reading about the Mayans or the Aztecs, and this was just part of like how many games we've played as human beings, and how many sports and how many different ways of fucking throwing or kicking a ball around we thought of. I remember in class we were talking about how the mains used to have this weird sacrificial bloody game where the winner, top scorer or something, or one winner from somebody from the winning team, he had the honor of his head had to get cut off for the next game, and it would be the ball or something like this. That would be the ball that they're kicking around, you know?
God.
So now we're here again, like with video games and with a bunch of different things, obviously a much nicer way, and we get to replay it, and it's even like we get to do more extreme things than, like we get to visualize more extreme things than, like, let's say rugby players or football players, or almost as extreme, but without any of the injury, and we can go again and we can go again, and we can have battlefields, we can have war games, we can have all these things, way of the human mind playing against each other. Yeah, and I can see how this satire, like an older generation looking at the new thing and being like, no way, this is too stupid.
Yeah.
Or like, this is too stupid. This is never going to become anything like a sport or anything like that, you know? But yeah,
I mean, they thought that gaming had a peak and then died. So at the end of, there was sort of an era where the home computer that they were releasing were just not very good, and it was sort of dying out, and arcades were kind of dying out, like Pac-Man and all this. There's this huge boom in the 80s in gaming. Before the NES really caught on, Nintendo in a way changed everybody's minds, because when they released the NES, all of a sudden you could have arcade style gaming on your TV. And prior to that, a lot of the computers were getting kind of worse. There was a big battle, all these companies fighting it out over which games machine was going to be the biggest and all the rest of it. And there were a lot of articles at the time saying that gaming has had its peak. It's gone now. It was a fad. That's what people thought of it. And a lot of companies lost a lot of money. If anybody remembers, if you want to look it up, it's a really interesting story. You know the movie E.T. the Extraterrestrial?
Obviously, yes, of course.
Okay, so Nintendo released a cartridge, a game called E.T. the Extraterrestrial, and it was a catastrophic failure. The game was awful. It was a big tie-in for the movie, and it crashed so badly that they ended up with so many unsold cartridges, they buried them in the desert in, like, New Mexico or somewhere like that. And there's a video where a guy went to find them, like an archaeologist, and dug up some of the cartridges. It was like landfill. And everybody was like, this is the nail in the coffin for gaming. Nobody's going to touch it ever again. Movie times, none of it. It's never going to be a thing. The history of gaming is really interesting, because I'm not saying I had a part in it, but I was certainly there, viewing it as a gamer and just hoping it stayed a thing. And then it had like resurgences and renaissances, and then the internet came along and changed it all again. And now I feel like games now are so amazingly complicated. And so they're like movies. They're bigger than movies a lot of the time. And you look at something like Cyberpunk, which was like, everybody was waiting on this game to come out. It cost hundreds of millions to make. And then it's like, it doesn't really, you know, it kind of flops or whatever. It's a big story, and everybody's like, this is crazy. But no one's saying this is the death of gaming. Back in the past, this is what they were saying. They were convinced gaming was going to die. We just see this game as a disaster, and it's a whole industry now. Industry persists. There may be titles that fail and succeed, but the industry is here to stay. Whereas in the past, it was seen as this fragile thing that could just fall over, and that's it, no more video games. So it's fascinating to see it continue to grow and exceed expectations. And at my age, I still meet people who have no idea what esports is, and games. Well, you play games like for money. I'm like, yeah. And when I say I work in esports, they're like, oh, are you good? I was like, no, I'm terrible. Like, how do you make money if you're bad at the game? I was like, well, it's kind of my thing, being bad at games. And people tune in and they watch you play the games. Yeah. Because you're really good at them? No, because I'm really bad at them. Like, people can't get their heads around it. So it's an interesting industry to be a part of, because a lot of those old opinions stick around.
And how do you see esports? How has esports changed in the last 10 years from your perspective?
It depends which game you're talking about and which company you're talking about.
You can macro it or micro it as much as you want.
I think when it started out, and Johan will definitely feel this more than I did, it felt much more like a desperate struggle to get it going. And I felt like everybody was invested in this idea that we want esports to succeed. And the passion from the fans and from the players and the devs was insane. and they were so excited that this thing was blowing up, and they really everybody wanted to ride on it, and it was so hype, and you really were desperate for it to succeed, and everybody wanted Dota to succeed. This is the only game I can really talk about. I don't play any other esports. I play CS:GO sometimes, but you know, the passion and that sort of almost fan-driven, that community drive behind Dota, and all these other games, they've all become so big that I think we've lost control at the sort of my kind of level, if you like. It's all much too big business now. So I think it's gone from being this upstart thing that was super exciting to be a part of, and it felt like it was growing, and it was all communities and fans and all the rest of it, to now being much more of a top-down controlling thing that I feel like we have less of a hold on. That's how I feel. I feel like it's gotten away from us a little bit.
So an interesting question will be, what would happen if we decide to frame the Dota ecosystem like the CSGO ecosystem? Would Dota be better? Would Dota be worse? And in my opinion, it just depends on the money that is in TI. If we have a long battle pass that gives us $40 million like last year, or 30 million plus, at the end of the day, even though it's extremely unhealthy that it's focused on one event, there is so much money that flows into the whole ecosystem of esports that it still is beneficial. Because there's just so much money.
But if you got rid of TI?
But if we got rid of TI completely right now, there is other tournament organizers that will pop up and decide to organize events throughout the year, like CSGO.
Yeah.
I'm sure We Play, ESL will create an alternative ecosystem. The tricky part is when you have both, but TI is very small. That's when it's tricky. So let's say, I know it's not the same, no? But like, I'm going to make a question for you, Johan, to try to get you involved. Mm-hmm. At what point TI is too small for you to play the whole year just for TI? If TI is $10 million, would you be playing qualifiers over qualifiers of qualifiers to get to TI?
No, it would be much less enticing. I mean, 10 million is a good number. If I hadn't won, you know, like that would still be a fucking flabbergasting, like life-changing money, you know. So for me, no.
But that's a 10 million total prize pool.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it would be, what would that be?
$1 million each.
$5 for the winner.
Yeah.
So $1 million each. So like, what was that?
It's still $1 million. It's still worth, you know, working your ass off your whole year if you want to get there. And again, I would choose this over other things if truly I wanted the money over other stuff, you know, to have financial security. Like, yeah, it's still life-changing money. Of course, it would be worth playing for a year, but I would say if the prize pool, just as a player, you know, like, and it's, yeah. It was when TI3 started, TI3 and TI4, it was the same vibe for me, honestly. Like, I didn't feel much different. So you're asking the wrong guy.
Okay.
Also, yeah.
So let's do the mathematics differently. If it goes $10 million, yes, the winners will get $1 million each, but the top 6 will be getting 80K. Or 60K.
Right.
So then you can't play the whole...
You don't think about that. Because you're winning.
Correct.
Bro, it doesn't matter. You're working 1 year, not because you're getting top 6. You're working 1 year because you're going to fucking win.
But if you do only 10 millions and you create another alternative like CSGO events, in CSGO events, you have a lot of tournaments that give you a lot of money throughout the year. Blast, I think...
in terms of entertainment, in terms of everything, like that will basically be like having majors throughout the year. Mm-hmm. You can maybe have one that's then slightly bigger and means championship, international, whatever, I don't know. Then I think you could get a lot more out of your money, also as an like entertainment value, you know, both for the viewer, as a player, everybody. The majors were done really well, I would say, like most of them, Shanghai major excluded, but that was amazing. Yeah, I wish we would have the same hype and the same quality and the same things around, you know.
I mean, I think you know, the Kiev major came out the other day, the true side of that, which I hadn't watched in a couple of years. That was.
Yeah, with the Slacks text or whoever made them, it really reads like Slacks.
Right.
I don't know.
So I thought so too. 100% it was Slacks, and I'll tell you why. Because I looked at the Reddit thread about it, and he was in there defending the comments, and I thought it must have been his shit. So I messaged him. I was like, "I'm pretty sure you did those comments." He was like, "Yeah," but he did. He said he got one wrong. So it was said you'd come from a lower bracket, but he just looked at the bracket, and it was just there was an upper and a lower, but there was no lower bracket. It was just the way it looked. Like the tree leading in, he thought it was low bracket. That was the one mistake he made. But other than that, I thought the comments were really funny. I know you probably had a
funny.
different perspective.
92% of the time, Anti-Mage chooses to farm over joining the fight.
He's a funny guy. Yeah, I love Jake.
Pyrion, what are you the most excited about for the next month and a half of your life that you can talk about?
Jeez. Nothing really.
Nothing
My life is very, very boring. No, I just relax. I take it easy. I stream most days. I hang out with my guys that I play Dota with and other games with, and spend time with my family and stuff like that. So I try to make my life as peaceful as possible outside of shouting at people when I'm watching Dota. Because Dota changes you, man. It makes you, when I'm playing Dota, I'm a different person. And I was trying to wonder why. And I think it's because, and I hope Johan knows what I'm saying here, when you're playing, obviously I'm not playing at the same level, but when you're playing, your entire brain is used on this incredibly complicated game. Lots of clicking, lots of thinking. You have to pay attention to everything. Your eyes are darting to the minimap. You're checking your items. You're clicking on their items, all of it. And you almost lose your humanity, and the way you normally talk to people goes out the window. And I think it's true for any game that you are super into. The reason people are toxic online is because their polite part of their brain has been shut down to make room for all the thinking that it takes to play the game. So when someone makes a mistake, you're like, what the fuck are you doing? Fucking idiot! Ah! But you would never do that in real life. You'd be like, dude, oh, why'd you do that? But I change when I play Dota. I become very angry, which is probably not healthy, but at the same time, it feels kind of cathartic.
No, I resonate with that. I think it was said, well put. I would maybe say it's still human, but like different part of humanity. Like it's very logical.
Yeah.
Like things have to be this way, that way. This has to be like this, so this can happen. Oh shit, this didn't happen. No, it's not like this. It's his fault. Fuck. Or like, you know, you're really trying to stack a house of cards together, but it's sometimes, you know, it's hard to. Yeah, to work with four hands and stuff. It's an amazing game. I mean, it's an amazing. It's not just Dota, but Dota has that amazing element of this. You get so into it. You get so absorbed.
I mean, especially playing at your level, you've got so much more to process because you guys have timings that you have to hit and expectations of where you're going to be and all the rest of it and the plan and having to gauge what they're going to do. And the people you're playing against are also unbelievably good at the game. If you make a mistake, that could be the end of it. And you're playing for millions of dollars, so you should get angry. I have no excuse. I'm just playing unranked pubs.
Well, the whole thing is you cannot get angry if you really want to win. So you have to fight that too, and you have to learn how to ride the car without road rage. Like I view it a lot like everything else, like a lot like riding a car. Like once you start, it's a lot. You know, you have to look at all the road signs while managing your gears, while managing the clutch, like while managing this and that. Like at first, it can be overwhelming, right? You barely have time to even do this or that. Like, but then you do it for a few weeks, you do it for a year, you do it for 2 years. Now you're having conversations, you're doing whatever you need to do while everything just flows automatically. Right. And if you're driving competitively, like you even have headspace to think about the future, right? And the better you get, the more into future scenarios you get. The same as chess, right? Now you go from 4 steps ahead to 5 to 6. Each step will keep getting harder, but yeah. And then all of a sudden, Dota also has this. Something happened in front of you that made everything that you just thought about, like you have to throw it away. It's a completely different game, and you have to then restart, and you have to do this every game 100 or 1,000 times, you know, more. And for us, I think it's not so much about the clicking the buttons and things like this. There's of course a huge level of it, but I think most of the time is just spent like thinking about the futures, right? You know? Because the rest just flows.
The rest of it is like second nature at this point. It's just
it's just like driving the car. You don't really. There's a lot of it you don't think about, you know? And then there's things you do think about. Yeah, you could stand on the best place on the map and it wasn't easy to find, but quite often you find your way there anyway. And then you're thinking a lot about, you know, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, like, and then things heat up and things get intense and it's a team fight. And now it's about, you know, a lot of reflexes for a moment and stuff. And but Dota is such an incredible game because it does all those things all in the span of like 30 seconds, you know, your mind goes everywhere. Yeah.
Crazy.
I don't know why I get angry playing Dota.
Good, crazy.
I think that the part that I get angry playing Dota is that there should be like a rank system, not for skill, but for tryharding. Okay, today I feel like tryharding on a 10. No, today I want to play a chill game and just do a 3. Because the problem is when I'm trying to play on a 10, okay, so I know I'm a pleb, okay? but there are some heroes that require a little bit more concentration or APM in my little thing, you know? When I'm playing those heroes, I am in a level of intensity, and then I see other people just, hey, dude, I'm just so high today. It's like, fuck, you know, fuck, I'm trying to win. And
well,
then,
I would say if you just want to chill, just play Turbo, man. Like that, nobody takes Turbo.
I know, but it's like, in a way, I can't just punish everybody for just playing Dota the way that makes them happy, you know? And there are some days that I'm like, there's some days that some days I should not be playing. There's some days that, because I don't think you should go to Dota when you're having a miserable day to try to get better. No, you have to be in a good space in your mind to just play Dota, because it's very challenging. And there is some days what I do play is I play GMTD. When I'm having a shitty day, I just play GMTD, or I play mini games, or I just watch a movie on Netflix. But I don't join ranked games. But I did in the past.
No, that's. I think that's a good thing. Yeah,
and then definitely try out the game that they made, Sunsfans. And
yes, I have to.
I played it.
How is it?
Yeah, you played
Project Horse. Yeah, I played it at Stockholm Major.
No, the new one. We just played the release yesterday.
The ability draft.
Called Ability Draft.
Yeah. Well, that was the code name that they had for it. So,
okay. So they were, they've been developing it for a while. So you probably played it.
I played it
the earlier version.
Quite an earlier version, yeah.
How
whenever
is it,
Stockholm
Johan?
Major was. It's a lot of fun.
It was so much fun.
Dude,
it was a lot of fun.
Is it out?
I had fun.
Is
I'm
it out right now?
today. It got released yesterday. They said, yeah.
Are you playing on
it's kind of like what's that? It was
auto
like
chess.
what was
I
the
mean,
original?
it's like auto chess,
yeah, like
or
auto
whatever.
chess.
Yeah,
but
it's
you're
all the
sort
same,
of
like
designing your hero almost, sort of thing. So there's a lot more to it, I think, than there was in auto chess. Where you just
different chess, but it has that new auto chess feel. It's very smooth. What they did, it was very visually pleasing. Yeah, definitely recommend.
Can you believe Jenkins was involved in the design of that game? Jenkins, and it's good.
He's a crazy man, but he's a great guy. He's very smart.
I love him. He's hilarious.
Johan, are you gonna play on the stream or just outside?
No. I have friends over now. He just came in yesterday, so we're gonna do some non-social media stuff.
Perfect.
Non-electronic stuff.
Let's wrap it up here. Pyrion, I really look forward to meeting you in person if the opportunity arises.
Absolutely.
And I would love to hear more of your stories. It's actually been super interesting. I didn't know maybe this deep part of you. But
you thought I was just a bald guy that played Dota, and there's so much
funny
more.
guy. It's a funny guy, you know. Be funny, you know. No, obviously, I knew that you could do more things. But no, dude, like we have to bring you back with some of the other guests, because I think that today I was in a weird mood, and I think that other days I can just maybe enable the conversation for you guys to take it over. But no, it was really great.
You did great, dude. You know, when it's just three of us, sometimes you got to unload a little bit. In a bigger group, tends to even out a little more. But I think you did great. It was great to meet you, and like same, I'd like to meet you in person as well. And
I would love to, dude.
Hope to see you guys in Singapore.
And you.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait. It's gonna be fun. TI in Southeast Asia again.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've never been. Fingers crossed they go. So yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, everybody. I'm gonna wrap it up. See you guys next week.